Welcome to Loleventvods. Watch the full game of today's LTA 2025 matchup.
I'm not going to look at them and really harp on the team play because it's not the intended roster, but I do want to see these guys, particularly like Contracts and Palafox that we know have high highs and low lows, showcase individual sharpness. Yeah. And I don't think I saw a lot of it in game number 1, right? I'm hoping to see them step up more individually if they want to try to contest FlyQuest at all.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be really tough. FlyQuest definitely looked a cut above in the team fights. Yes, part of that is the draft. Part of that is the composition. They had a very strong 5v5 team with the Ivern, with a lot of protection for these really powerful carries that were very well played by Masu and Quad. And you talk about individual sharpness, I think my boy Masu was looking sharp.
Razor's edge, man.
He was looking really, really good. You see the contract?
Yeah, I was a Skarner watching a movie on an old TV. That was good. That was good. I appreciate that. That's modern art.
Beautiful. But yeah, we're going to be going into game number 2. Of course, if you have not watched any Fearless, what this means, you see the Fearless bans there in the middle. Those are all the picks from last game. They do not have to be banned. They cannot be picked. So we're going to be seeing all new champions in the second game. Yes, best of 3 Fearless isn't the craziest thing ever because you don't have to rotate through a million different champs. If you do get to best of 5, that's where Fearless gets really kind of wacky getting into game number 5.
Yeah.
But I still do enjoy it a lot more. Just have the variety game over game, to not be seeing the exact same comps run back game over game. To me, just is a bit more interesting.
It also kind of solves that problem that you have, particularly when one specific lane is oversaturated with one very specific matchup. Like Renekton Cassante comes to mind, Corki Azir comes to mind, right? The thing that you just handshake at every single game, and it's like, okay, I guess we expected that.
And bot lane has been that so many times over the years, too.
Yeah, exactly. There's always some of those that show up, and Fearless at least makes it, okay, even if we have to see it every series, it's only once every series, and then we still get to see something else. So he was banned out in the first game. Now he makes it through the bans in the second one. So Cassante, I feel like just the way that this champion is designed, he kind of does everything you want him to do. He's pickable into so many matchups unless somebody wants to play something really wacky like a Garen or a Darius
I was
into
just
him.
about to say,
we're going to get Mbessa.
You picked the male Cassante. Now you can pick the female Cassante, who is really, really strong and is one of the matchups that you'll see in pro play as an answer. Mbessa is so strong. So many dashes, just like Cassante, so much mobility, and such a high skill cap on this champion because you can be non-stop dashing around. The W shield on Mbessa, I just think is one of the most powerful parts of the kit. She has so much spell vamp as you're scaling on into the game, but the W makes the trades in the early game very, very difficult to deal with at times.
Yeah.
Obviously, Conqueror, is pretty common, but I've been seeing more and more players playing alongside with Grasp as well, just for even more laning power. And Grasp in general has just been getting kind of more and more popular. Obviously, there's all the tank, Bruiser, Jace, whatever you want to call it, but people I was watching Fager play, Grasp Victor. We've seen all kinds of different champions experimenting with it just for that additional lane power and safety.
Well, I can also appreciate the extra sustain early on in the lane, because I like how you bring up her spell vamp. For those of y'all who don't play Mbessa yourself or never really looked into the kit, remember that the vamp is not the passive on the character, it's the passive of the ultimate. So levels 1 through 5, you're not going to have that same level of comfort and safety with the sustain, and Grasp can kind of help alleviate some of that, especially if the jungler's putting extra pressure on you early, and just make it easier to fall back to that. They're going to pick up the Vi alongside the Cassante and Victor in the mid lane. This guy has been terrorizing some solo queue in the time between Worlds and the changes that got made to him since then and now.
Yeah, and he did get some nerfs on this patch, so was knocked down a little bit. Last I saw, the win rate didn't really change too much, though. I've been playing a fair bit of Victor. It is really strong. The champion just feels so smooth now. I'm not really sure.
Screen-wide ulti.
I mean, the screen-wide ulti can definitely be nuts, but it definitely feels really strong these days. They do have a lot of early power here with contracts on the Vi, a lot of backline access. I'm going to be able to lock down some of these champions. And I'm going to be interested to see if they are going to try to attack Whippo, because you talked about the spell vamp being tied to the ulti. Pre-6 is kind of when Mbessa is most vulnerable, especially in tank matchups, and especially if you're going Conqueror in a tank matchup. Once you get post-6, I mean, Cassante's a little different because you obviously have a lot more damage, but for most traditional tanks, you just can't do enough damage to hurt this champion anymore. She just kind of starts to drain tank you with Conqueror plus the spell vamp passive, so it is definitely tough to deal with.
Thank you, crowd. I love you too. Now let's see what we can see in the second half of the draft with the bans, because neither one of our teams has their marksman drafted yet, and it looks like Shopify is going to put a little pressure on that pool, get rid of the Ezreal, take away that safe option there from Masu. Rakan banned out once again by FlyQuest. Remember that in game number 1, we did see some of those engaged champion, or tank champion, I should say, bans in the second half. The Rakan banned away alongside that Braum.
Yeah, and remember, there are obviously a couple of ADs that were banned out, gone from the first game, because we can't play Varus, we can't play Ashe, now you can't play Corki, you can't play Ezreal, you can't play Kai'Sa, you can't play Kalista, and there is even one more ban to give, so you could even have another bot lane ban and really start to pinch that pool. It is instead going to be a Bard ban.
That's still a bot lane ban.
I mean, absolutely is, and Busio is one of the guys that I was thinking of, okay, who would Fearless really benefit? He's another player I thought it was going to benefit, because if you remember, when he first went into that support role and he's playing alongside Doublelift, he had just swept over from mid lane. He was playing Azir support. He was playing all kinds of different mages and crazy things down there.
What if that's what it is? what if we still have to see the mid laner? What if this was the Busio special, the Busio bot lane surprise the entire time?
Yeah, I mean, that would be pretty hype. I'm not going to lie. The Azir support did not work out when it did come out, but it still looked kind of cool. And I respected the confidence. So we'll see what Shopify is going to go with here for their bot lane. Still, you really do start to realize, especially even watching some of the best of fives, like in LPL, if you're watching the best of fives, it does kind of hammer home. There's a lot of champions that are actually very viable. And that was always one of my pet peeves with pro play, is when people just default to the exact same champs, even though there is a lot that you can go towards. And we are going to get Caitlyn and Vi from Arcane.
Dude, and this is just Arcane plus Cassante.
Where's Jace?
Jace support? What about Heimerdinger support? Okay. That's actually something that's existed before. We could have Arcane plus Cassante could be Shopify. No, okay, we're going to go with the Maokai instead.
Maybe that guy was in Arcane just in the
maybe he was one of the trees. Yeah. He's just in a scene and we don't notice
just
him.
like a shrub or something in the
there was all kinds of wide shots of environments. What if one of them's Maokai?
Been in there.
I don't know where Maokai's actually from. Is he Noxian? What is he? I don't know. All right. Whatever.
I'm not the person to ask lore questions.
Okay, cool. I'm just making sure because I'm pretty clueless on it. I wanted to see. But all right, FlyQuest instead, we are going to go with the Nico.
Okay, so Nico going to be coming out here. So it is, again, a little bit of a flex down there to the support. Nico support obviously has seen some popularity over the years. It is a pretty explosive engage. It is very feast or famine. If this champion gets ahead, it can be really powerful as far as the engage. You can get an early proto belt. You can start really having that explosive team fight power. But if you get behind, you are paper, especially against a team with a lot of lockdown, a lot of CC here, as they do have over on the Shopify team. It is kind of really high risk, high reward, and just the champion in general really functions like that. Even if you're playing at mid, even if you have a ton of farm, you're so based around your ulti that if you get a really good ulti, it can be worth so much. But if that ultimate gets flashed, yes, maybe that's valuable for later on. But in that team fight right there, you're usually toast.
It kind of feels like, if you're thinking about older champions, it feels more like Fiddlesticks, right? Fiddlesticks with ult versus without ult. Different champions, right? And Nico's kind of in that same area with the impact of the ulti specifically.
Except you can turn into a ward.
Yeah, well, Fiddlesticks can also pretend to be wards. So see, both of those champions are pretty similar to one another. It's just one is an uwu champ and one is a scary champ. Oh, true, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, you can't get all the fangirls if you're just a scary scarecrow, man. Okay, we've got ourselves lined up now. The drafts are ready. It's time for game number 2. FlyQuest, if they perform like game number 1, I don't see how Shopify takes it from them, but maybe they got something cooking. I would love to see Shopify come out with some sort of a curveball, right? Something that their opponents aren't quite expecting to try to catch them off guard, because this FlyQuest is looking like the team that can once again just run it back and run the league.
Yes, sir. They are looking really, really strong. I will say, Shopify, I do think they have a pretty well-rounded comp here this time around. They have a lot of scaling. They have a lot of frontline. They have their engage here, both with the Maokai as well as with that Vi. It is FlyQuest, 4 men on top side, even 5 with the Ambessa just kind of trailing. Moving forward to get an early ward down.
Okay.
And try to spot out, is it going to be a lane swap? What's going on here? Of course, it's Cassante versus Ambessa, and it's also Nico versus Maokai. So guess what? Shopify don't want that 1v1 and 2v2 lanes. So FlyQuest is really trying to figure out, okay, where are they going? Where do we need to be? Because they are trying to match. They are trying to say, all right, if your bot is going top, then we're sending our bot lane top 2.
Right.
And at this point, it becomes a little bit of a guess. We obviously have full vision, so we know that Caitlyn's going bot. They have not spotted that. They're not going to know until Cassante shows on this ward in lane up on top side. So that's really what they kind of are waiting for here. And we'll see, you know, if that is going to be spotted. They're aware, it looks like. It's this ward right here. So now it's spotted, and you can see Bwipo actually waited the whole time. So he's just staying up on that top side and is going to be able to move up there.
And I like the fact that you had Busio pretending to be Inspired, hanging out in the mid lane to just be like, oh yeah, the jungler's hovering with the mid laner, making it so it's much easier for him to go to whichever lane he needs to go to, depending on if they swap.
So this is definitely a big win for FlyQuest early on. These are the lanes that they would have wanted. That's why they invested so much. All 5 members going top, trying to get those wards, trying to get these lanes. And we'll see if it does pay off for them. Cassante in the early levels definitely has a lot of that power. Bwipo is not going for that more early game grasp. He's going to go Conquer, which is going to scale really well against a tank, but it does make your early game a little bit weaker.
All right, as we're starting off with some of these early trades, Fudge definitely getting the better of Bwipo, punching back and forth here. They're fighting a lot longer than I expected them to. But since nobody's just dead yet, let's go ahead and toss things over to Emily, standing by with an interview with Coach Revan.
That's true. Nobody is dead yet. As we look at this, one thing I did want to ask you, Coach, going into facing FlyQuest in the second match is what it's like to draft in Fearless with such a short turnaround time in these best of threes.
You just need to react very well. What are the priority champions that have been picked so far? Cross them out. What is up next? Try to secure those and then try to build a comp around those that have been picked in the first rotation.
What do you think is a strength of your team, either in draft or just in gameplay, that you can use to go up against a team that is as good and like tight playing as FlyQuest on the map?
I wouldn't know if the extent is advantageous yet because obviously they're the previous champions and they have all very strong players, but I think our players also have not only their individual skill level, they're very open-minded in matters of practicing champs, what is good, what is not, and they're very also eloquent about expressing their thoughts, so it makes it easier for us to progress as a team.
All right, well, thank you so much for taking the time. We'll throw it back to the game so you can also watch your players. Thank you so much. See you, Gasters.
I always think it's fun hearing the coaches' opinions. I got a chance to talk to a coach from every single team, you know, from LTA North, you know, prior to the split.
Okay.
And a lot of the coaches were actually very excited about Fearless because they felt it meant they had a lot more impact on the game. You know, especially some of the top coaches were really talking about how they had felt, you know, drafting was relatively simple, you know, compared to what it is now. Because it's not just about, okay, what's the next, you know, pick in your bag of tricks. You know, sure, Cassio might be a good individual champion. It might even be good in your lane, but does it fit into your composition, right? You have to really keep in mind the entire team comp and not just torpedo your team comp because you're getting caught up in saying, oh, he knows how to play Azir. Oh, he knows how to play Kled. We can just slam that in here.
Right. Kled, I think a couple of Team Liquid fans in the audience might have just had a really nasty flashback from Worlds about that one. But hold on. Fudge could be in some danger. Inspired, making his way up into the top lane. Should be able to find that stun, but Fudge, with the unstoppable on Cassante, just makes a path, gets to safety.
But what I will say, it's actually a really good gank because it's post-TP and Bwipo is not teleported yet. So he chunks half his health there. If you can actually keep him from crashing the wave, Bwipo can get a base, TP back, and try to lock Fudge into a disadvantageous lane. So that one little gank there was actually much more impactful than you may realize. If that had been pre-teleport, Fudge's bases comes back full health. Yeah. You lost half your health to that. So your buy is no longer really that big advantage because of that chunk that Inspired got.
You love to see it. Inspired showing up, having that presence in the game that we expect him to have. This guy has been a top-level jungler in pro play back when he was in EU, ever since he's been in North America. The guy is very good at being able to impact the map in meaningful ways, even the ones that you wouldn't normally think about, like you're saying here. Just the timing of the gank, even if it's just a quick little bit of damage, it does pay those dividends. Shopify Rebellion going to start up the Drake here with contracts. B-Boy and Zazel making sure that they're ready to help their jungler. But Inspired is ready on the approach. Palafox with control over the mid lane, though, will force Inspired back. Shopify staying on that Drake. Got it down to about half, but an Earth Drake dies very slowly.
He's trying to delay for Quad, and he has been able to do it. Quad is now TPing back in a lane, but I don't think it's going to be in time to challenge here. So was just trying to see, okay, can I actually step forward? Can I make them come off that dragon by the time for Quad to get back? Because if he had been able to do that, maybe they could actually look for a fight.
Nicely done from Shopify to grab themselves that first neutral objective. 1 out of 3 on the way to that checkpoint. This is, remember the previous game, 3 grubs and the first Drake both went to FlyQuest, so their backs were kind of against the wall on those neutral objectives for Shopify from the very beginning. This time around, feeling a lot better about things, even if Inspired does end up securing the grubs for himself. Bwipo now level 6 on the Mbessa. This does mean that he has that extra spell vamp like we were talking about earlier. Brutalizer's a great early purchase, hitting that threshold to be able to buy that completed component. Feels really good, but it's Fudge and Contracts now making their approach up into the topside river. Looking at these grubs, Inspired wants to be able to secure at least the one, and he does get it. Contracts and Fudge jumping in, forcing the flash over the wall from Inspired. Fudge does have the ability to go all out. Inspired slows him down, keeps him away. Quad coming up, Bwipo's also here. Fudge could be in some danger, but the all out also provides an escape mechanism. Bwipo trying to jump in on top of him, find some quick damage here at the very beginning. Inspired locks him up, but he goes unstoppable yet again here with the Pathmaker. Bwipo jumping in, but now he might be in a little bit of danger too. Nice shuffle comes out as Quad lays down the damage, and it's first blood over to FlyQuest. Palafox and Contracts on the run. FlyQuest in the 3v3 come out on top.
They just managed that so well. Inspired gets over the side, and Fudge just can't quite get in range to go all out. Busio looking to try to chase down Zeyzal. Won't have the damage to finish him, but you're pushing on all sides. You win out of the fight on top side. You're going to be able to get an additional grub there, and they're taking plates and potentially threatening to dive.
B-Boy down to 200 HP, just barely lives. Just barely hanging on there as FlyQuest are putting the pressure on. They win in the 3v3. They nearly get another kill down here bottom lane in the 2v2, and things are going their way nice and early. Up 1,500 gold, 7 minutes into the game.
Yeah, that's huge. At the very least, Fudge has rotated down towards bot, so they're not going to lose this whole wave, but it is going to be B-Boy down about 2 full waves, and they lost that plate, and that's not really the position that Caitlyn wants to be playing from. You want to be the one pushing, you want to be the one threatening towers. And we can watch again up on the top side, just really nice damage and spacing here. You can see Quad always staying back, not allowing them to engage on him. Inspired as well, staying back until the spells are spent because he is very low. Then last moment, uses that Q, gets the mini stun onto Fudge, helps to finish him off. Bwipo again, utilizing the ultimate, utilizing the W to really be able to create space there. And Fudge calling out, my bad. Win over the wall. I think he thought he could get in range for the all out, but he just barely didn't have the range to actually catch up and get that ultimate onto Inspired, so it ended up turning pretty bad for them.
I mean, I say this all the time. League of Legends is a game of small moments and just very small differences making the ultimate gap between the teams that much wider, right? Like just that small little bit of, oh, I thought I had it, but I was a little bit off, can come back to bite you.
It's so true, right? Because someone plays an early fight that little bit better. Now all of a sudden they have an additional item that maybe wins that next fight that you just might have been able to win. You play that next fight really well. Too bad. They have 1,000 more gold. They actually win anyway. And that can really start to snowball, especially when you're going up against a team like FlyQuest who just heavily out-team fought you. That can be demoralizing to have that early game go bad when you already know the late game was rough last time around.
And now Fudge versus Bwipo. Looks like we're going to get an all-in attempt coming out from Fudge. Bwipo wants to stand his ground here, needs a little bit more time for his cooldowns, does kite it out pretty well, and Inspired's ready to join up. Fudge now in some danger, and there's your Glacial Prison. There's the outplay. Bwipo just baits him in, dodges out long enough, and gets the reward.
I'll tell you how many dashes there were in that fight, but I don't know if I can count that high.
No, neither can I. It is just not between these two champions, there's a lot of years,
How many
brother.
dashes were there? Yes.
I'd say we've got about a millennium between these two champs, and it's pretty tough. But hey, since they're against each other, obviously they go blow for blow. 2 versus 1, the extra man makes the difference.
Absolutely does, and that is tough for Fudge because Fudge, in the midst of all this, had been losing farm. He swapped down towards bot side. I think minions were dying when they were having that Herald scrap as well. So he's down 20 CS. He's trying to force a fight here, and let's be honest, I think he would have won it in the 1v1, but it just doesn't matter because Bwipo was able to play it really slowly, just continually kite it out as much as he possibly can, buy time here, dodge as much as he can. For Inspired to wait, and then Inspired just does not wait for anything to be able to be juked. He waits until he's point blank, right up on Fudge, hits the ultimate, no chance to be able to react to that, and Bwipo can just dash right back on in to finish it off, and now has that Voltaic already complete. Heartsteel's already complete for Inspired as well. Those are really strong.
Voltaic Cyclosword is such a nasty item on Mbessa. This thing makes her already pretty oppressive trading pattern that much more obnoxious. It feels so difficult to actually be able to trade even with the champion once this item's online.
Exactly. So if you don't know how this works, and I wouldn't blame you because almost no one builds it, the dashes and the stealth, so really just dashes for her, they stack the Energize 75% faster. So when you're dashing around, you're getting the procs from this so fast compared to just walking back and forth, right? And it does have a 99% slow plus the bonus damage that it does proc off of. So when you're dashing around, you're constantly getting slowed, you're constantly getting hit for that proc damage. It is very, very difficult to deal with. And this champion just scales really to infinity. It is tough to deal with. But Contract's moving down to his bot side. They're going to look for a fight.
Yeah, Fudge this time the one who's got the extra power. Whoa, that was a bit of a yo-yo, but it looks like Bwipo's not going to have a good time anyway. Once again, the extra man is the X factor. Shopify Rebellion are on the board. FlyQuest in the meantime going after that second set of grubs. Looks like they should be able to secure all three here.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to get it for sure. Inspired still has his smite available for this last one, so that is going to be secured. FlyQuest 1 kill away from that first feat of strength. And working on these objectives, they do get 5 grubs. Of course, they don't get credit for that first 2 grubs that they got. And Contract's just trying to take Dragon out on his bottom side. Busio looking to push him off.
Okay, Maokai LT shot out. Infernal Drake secured by Shopify. So Shopify needs 1 more neutral objective for the feat. FlyQuest needs 1 more kill for the feat. And we still don't have any turrets down for either side.
Yeah, no turrets down. Also worth pointing out that little interaction there that Busio was using. You can use your clone to block the Maokai ultimate and then all just kind of stack behind it. So it is very difficult for Maokai to find those long-range engages sometimes. And you want to be able to throw that down, force someone to eat it, and then hard engage off and on that person and be able to kill them. But the Nico clone just kind of rejects that completely.
All clones kind of have that special power. It can something like a Maokai ultimate, an Ashe ultimate, whatever, right? Like you think of Wukong or LeBlanc, right? You think of a Shaco clone. Any of these things can be used to block those massive, slow-moving things that can really otherwise have some disastrous consequences. Speaking of disastrous consequences, Bwipo has been about 20 farm ahead the entire game now, ever since that first move from Inspired that we talked about that kind of shut down Fudge's chances to have the presence that he wanted in the lane. And Bwipo's just happy to keep on farming on this Mbessa. We know how scary this champion can be if she gets into a team fight, finds access to the back line, and is ahead of the curve of the game.
Yeah, it can be really, really tough. And obviously Sejuani plus Melee, that is a classic pairing. You used to see so much of the Sejuani plus Renekton. This is kind of one of those new era pairings. Doesn't actually check the pixel brush, so is going to be spotted by the pink, and Fudge is going to try to stand under tower. You can see Shopify's moving down.
Okay, Busio ready to start this one off with a Pop Blossom, and there's no way out. Feat of Warfare claimed for FlyQuest, but Shopify are looking for a counterattack. Contracts goes in, looks to lock up Bwipo. No way out here for the FlyQuest top laner, so a 1-for-1 trade that still favors FlyQuest because of the feat secured.
Well, and because of the minimap, look at these lanes, mid and top. All 5 members went down, so you're losing plates in mid, you're losing farm in mid, you're losing plates and farm in top as well. So yeah, you got to kill back. Yeah, when you're carry, you're going to be happy about that, but everything else is getting really rough. And even Masu being so annoying here, just delaying B-Void getting back towards lane and delaying him from being able to grab those last couple CS as they dive to the tower.
I mean, man, it's almost a 3,500 gold lead just 14 minutes into the game.
3 kills to 2, and you have that big of a gold lead.
This is huge in terms of the lead for FlyQuest right now. All they got to do is knock down a turret. This middle one is about ready to crumble, right? If you leave that undefended for 5 seconds without plates on it, and FlyQuest have 1 player, maybe 2 there, it's done. Top is even lower.
Yep, and bot is not much better. You know, all those towers are incredibly low, so as you say, it's tough, right? When you're losing, when you're getting pushed in, well, you kind of generally have the answer of, all right, well, we're just going to overload one side. We're going to put an additional member there. We're going to throw, 3 members there. We're going to get a quick kill, and then we're going to be able to try to make something happen. But FlyQuest are pushing all lanes, so they're always going to win out on the map. This is going to be going down, as you said. They already got the feat of Warfare, so they are going to be able to get the feats of Strength claimed back-to-back games. For what it's worth, in Pro, it has about a 74-75% win rate globally. It does change a little bit whether you're red side, blue side, but it is very strong. Obviously, a good indication that you're winning the game when you're kind of getting the objectives, getting the kills, getting everything.
Fudge getting the better of Bwipo in this 1v1 so far. Bwipo did dodge away from the 3rd hit with the knockback of the Intofo strikes, so feeling pretty good about that one. 3-2 still that 3,500 gold lead. Palafox getting some alone time with the top lane turret. We'll see how much damage he can do to that one, because FlyQuest are overloading bottom in return. Busio moving forward here, wants to hit Fudge with the Tangle Barbs, not quite having the range on that one, but Quad, Inspired, and Bwipo are all also here. So is the Wave with a cannon minion, and FlyQuest with 5 grubs, Isaac, are just going to melt this cannon.
Yeah, this thing is going down very, very fast. They do trade back top lane tower, and so there's going to be some gold there for Palafox. who was also the beneficiary of the kill down on bot side. But Masu now moving in towards mid. Are they going to look to go for him? Inspired's going first.
Nice shot there on the B-Void, forces out the cleanse, and now Contracts has to try to get away. He wanted to flash, but he still gets caught by the Pop Blossom. Counterattack comes in as Zazel's ready to try to help his team, and Busio's going to be the only one killed in the scrap. Nicely fought from Shopify.
Yeah, nicely done, but they are very low in quad is here. So again, they're going to lose the tower. They get the kill. They lose out on the objective. That has kind of been the theme of the game. 3 towers down already at 16 minutes. You can see Bwipo on the Mbessa up, already pushing that top lane. And that top lane tier 1 also is low. So it's going to be tough here for Shopify. They're going to have to kind of find a moment to draw a line in the sand, look for a fight so you can go no further, because it does feel like FlyQuest are just playing the map so well. They're winning out in the individual lanes. They're winning out in the 1v1s. If they get the Herald as well, that's another pretty much guaranteed tower for them. And it looks like they have a very good chance of being able to secure this.
Yeah, we'll see if Shopify can do anything about it.
Gone.
I mean, at the same time, yeah, Bwipo's just going to grab the tier 1. So that's just tier 1s melting everywhere. All 3 of them down now for Shopify. The tier 2 even taken in that bottom lane like we saw. Rift Herald in the pocket of Inspired and FlyQuest, who are now up 4,500 gold. The only thing they're behind in is Dragons, and it's not that big of a concern, really.
Yeah, and you can even see Quad is going for a pretty greedy build here, going for Deathcap second. So he's going to be able to make his way towards that. When he hits that spike, that is going to be massive. And, you can use that Herald to try to get an easier in towards that Dragon. Drop Herald mid, force the response there, take a free Dragon. Instead, it's just going to be Shopify kind of doing what they did last game, overloading the side lane, trying to look to pick on Bwipo. Bwipo playing with fire a little bit here and seeing if he could steal away some of those mini Krugs, but he is going to keep his health high. 4 members from Shopify were on that top side of the map. The Dragon will be given up for sure, as Masu's just going to push out mid, and you're going to see Quad likely go down towards bot and get that moving in the right direction here. And then Inspired can just kind of back up and look to reclaim vision and control around that top side so the Bwipo can play more aggressively.
So I guess I gotta ask, it's feeling like, I know it sounds doomer, but what even is the angle for Shopify, like long-term in this game to come back? Are we just kind of crossing our fingers and praying that FlyQuest lose the momentum to stop Victor from hitting 5 items?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're kind of just praying for Victor to be able to make something happen here. They're playing a very slow game, so you are looking towards scaling, you are looking towards team fighting. You're hoping that, some of these members that can be high risk, high reward, like the Mbessa or like Busio, that they can maybe fail and engage.
All risk, no reward
on them. Exactly, right? Busio goes in for a big ultimate. All of a sudden, you flash out of it on your carry. Zazel flash W's him. He gets rooted down. He dies instantly. Bwipo gets locked up and he gets bursted down, right? These are the kind of things that they're going to be looking for. But it's tough because FlyQuest is spreading the map open, and really making it difficult. So even when they do get a one fight, they're losing more elsewhere. But I think it's going to be down to Otacon, which is going to be up here, in a little bit over a minute. Herald's going to get summoned. FlyQuest is going to try to put themselves in the best possible spot to take that Otacon, but I think we're going to be a game that just comes down to a fight around it. And if FlyQuest gets it, I think it's going to be a bridge too far.
Ooh, nicely done there from Fudge, trying to lock Bwipo up underneath the tier 2 turret, but it doesn't work because Bwipo is able to make some distance, get himself away to safety. Masu jumped on by Zazel, but Masu also flashing out with a Pop Blossom, defensively used by Busio to protect the exit of FlyQuest. It was a little dicey, but critically they stay alive. Shopify, that's got to be upsetting, man. They wanted to full send, be able to grab something there. Back over in the mid lane, you got the tier 2 turret going down.
Yeah, and Inspired actually had to flash to block the Caitlyn ult that was on Masu there. He was nervous about that being enough damage to finish him off. He has a lot of AD. It is an IE rush and a longsword on top, so he has a lot of AD in there. I'm not 100% sure if it would have killed him, but it would have been incredibly close.
A lot of damage.
And I think it probably would have killed him. So I will say, yes, frustrating that you don't get those kills for Shopify, but no flash Inspired, no flash Bwipo, no flash or cleanse on Masu, and the flash is going to be up for Zazel. The flash is going to be up for Contracts. You wanted the way in. This is it, right? This is that window where when Masu has no summoners, if you can find a good pick on him, you could maybe get that early kill and turn the game around.
Well, also worth pointing out here with Bwipo on the Mbessa, double lethality item completed with Voltaic into the Edge of Night. So although he does have 2 items completed, although he is 2,500 gold ahead of Fudge, exactly, he's burstable. Exactly what you're talking about. It's not a traditional full tank, it's more of a drain tank type of champion.
Yeah.
If they can isolate him, if they can burst him down in time, that could be their angle. But it's so hard when FlyQuest is playing together well and covering for each other's escapes.
And I will say, even when Mbessa has these kind of builds, it is sometimes really kind of tricky to be able to get that kill, right? Because, it's 450 shield on the W. You heal for 13% of the damage that you deal on your ultimate straight up, and then you obviously have all of this healing that's coming through with Conqueror, all of the kind of passive healing from that. So if you don't get that 100-0 kill, this champion can become deceptively tanky, just straight up through drain tanking. It can become really tough. So if you're going to commit for the pick on Mbessa, you have to have that Edge Knight popped off, and you have to be going for that kill. But you can see FlyQuest already on Otacon here and is getting down to half HP already. Shopify are on their way, but Fudge has got a TP now, you'd have to think.
All right, Shopify, if you're going to do something,
TPs.
It's time to start doing. TP's coming in down here to the bottom lane. Both going to arrive around the same time. Bwipo arrives first, but now he's all isolated. Bwipo's got to make a little bit more distance for himself. Deadly Flourish trying to cover his escape. Maokai ulti flies through. Inspired hit with the root. Buffers through it with the Arctic Assault. Nicely done. But it's Shopify with control over the Otacon that has not reset. 5,000 HP on the objective, but Shopify's got to be careful. Bwipo again going to be the target. Knockback by the Intofo strikes. Bwipo finally falls. Palafox takes the kill, but Contracts has to try to escape now. The Glacial Prison won't find him. He tries to re-engage, instead gets caught. Busio with the slam onto 2. A double kill back over to Quad. Bwipo the only one dead on FlyQuest, and they've turned it right around. Shopify have nothing left to say with a triple kill over to Quad, and another team fight for FlyQuest.
It's a massive win there for FlyQuest. They're going to be able to get Otacon off the back of this again. It was a kill on the Bwipo, but they commit so much onto him, and the whole time, Quad is hitting, Masu is hitting, and B-Boy was still low from that early chunk that Bwipo got further back. You can see Busio on the side is threatening to try to keep these carries away. Palafox can't really fully commit in. B-Boy can't really fully commit in because of the threat of the Nico. And so yes, even though Masu does go down, Quad was always untouched. Inspired creating space for him. The death cap is complete. It's a 4-kill Azir. It's Otacon going their way. And it is the GA Otacon. And with it taken at this time, it's even going to be there for a force, on a fight right before Baron spawns, which is often the death knell of any game.
They have a 6,500 gold lead. All 5 players have a false life. The Drakes are almost even now. It's just 2-1. I'm going to get bamboozled by that Otacon symbol for quite a while. I keep mistaking it as an Infernal Drake, so that's going to keep happening. But that's all right, because FlyQuest are in such an insane spot in this game. I feel like for Shopify, you're just praying for a mistake to punish right now, because if you don't get one, I really don't see the angle here.
It is so tough, yeah. Now that Otacon's gone, that does often feel like kind of the last hope when you are losing. One of the things that Otacon does do is just makes it so smooth to snowball a game to victory, because there's not this kind of dead space. In the previous seasons, there used to be this time, kind of after Herald has been taken, before Baron is really viable, because doing a 20-minute Baron was so incredibly dangerous.
Most games you couldn't do it.
Realistically, unless you're monstrously ahead, you wouldn't really be forcing Barons until 23 minutes or something if we're going to get a fight.
Yeah, Bwipo's just ready to go in and put some pain on Palafox, but now it's Bwipo who's found himself behind enemy lines, and not in the good way. He withdraws 200 gold over to Shopify, but it's just an easy opportunity, again, for FlyQuest to force this. It's exactly what you're talking about. This is the tool in their toolbox that allows them to keep the momentum of this game shoved down Shopify's throat.
Exactly. It looks like a silly death until you realize he just respawns instantly in the base, and they got 2 towers, including a Nexus tower off it. And Quad, he's going to die too, sure, but again, now look at top, look at mid, right? This is the problem, is that you're just forcing your opponents to spend more than they can afford to spend to try to defend these plays. Now Inspired is just going to go in for B-Boy. He'll kill him or he won't. It doesn't really matter either way, because top lane is dying too. He just goes in, forces it, he even gets the kill as Bwipo comes back. They're going to be able to get this kill on Inspired, maybe, but top lane tower is almost dead. Mid lane tower is gone. Bot lane inhibitor is dying now to Bwipo. And this is the problem with this Otacon. It's so tough to defend. Yeah, so we have a report here. So Palafox reporting what he believes to be a potential bug with the Victor Ultimate. QC is going to investigate. We'll keep you guys updated as far as any information I get. I will let you know.
Cool.
Okay, so the bug did occur, but it is one of the bugs on the QC bug list that players are made aware of, that, hey, these are some of the things that are bugs that are currently in the game. So basically, if you're picking a champion that has one of these bugs, then you kind of have to deal with it. So it will be a play-through situation. 2025 looking like the big dogs, and we'll see if they can finish this first series off. That is going to be another GA spent, as when those are about to expire, you kind of just run in and get a little bit of damage down. Yeah. Yes, you are giving over more gold, though. So at a certain point, especially if it gets nerfed again, there will have to be more kind of thought about this, because he did just give over 200 gold to get 1 auto on a tower. Last patch it was 100 gold. 200 gold, though, that's not bad. So maybe it's not really worth it to just get a little bit of damage down. But, you know, at this point, they're so massively ahead. It's not going to make any difference.
Yeah, the 100 gold one was a total meme, right? It's practically the cost of a cannon minion. It's like, yeah, I will trade an auto attack on the turret for this. I don't care.
But 200?
200's okay.
You got to start thinking about it.
Yeah, like you're actually most of the way to the traditional value of a champion.
Exactly, and if it was changed again, if they made it like 300, well, now all of a sudden it's like, yeah, you do res, but they're still getting a lot of gold from wiping you.
Right.
Contract's here, looking to see if he can set up some sort of a pick, but you see multiple members, you know you cannot make it happen on your own. And that Azir is 3 items now, and I think they are aware that he is around.
You should not try to jump this dude when he has friends and you're by yourself.
Don't kill the jungle dog.
Oh, no. Oh, there's 1.
Let the wolf go.
There's 2. There's 3. There's 4. Oh, now the cannon's just going to hit him. 1 more hit. Oh, they're just going to give it to Inspired. There it is. Inspired will pick up that one. Contracts had no way out. Oh, now Palafox is going to be in some serious trouble here, too. Potentially, luckily has help nearby to guarantee his safety. FlyQuest ready to reinforce their own lines. 9-5, favoring Fly right now on the Rift. Baron is alive. Objective bounties are up and active for Shopify, and they damn well should be because it's a 9,000 gold deficit. Inspired and Masu starting up the Baron with just the 2 of them. Bwipo and Quad both ready to join. Busio hanging out on the flank here. He knows that as Nico, he doesn't really do anything to the Baron. It's all about having the flank in case Shopify tries to approach. Busio also on top of a control ward. He knows he is unseen. Wrapping around for the full-on engage here. That clone's going to be caught there by the 90 caliber net of B-Boy. Easily done for FlyQuest, just managing these situations, being able to take the Baron, being able to put themselves in a beautiful spot.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, normally maybe we want to try to challenge, but Contracts was dead, and not only that, you had used Maokai ult, you'd used Victor ult, so I think without those, there's not really any shot of being able to contest, so I think you just kind of have to button up, go back to the base, hope you can find some sort of a way to defend, to delay. Zeyzal, though, getting caught out, he is in trouble. He's going to be flashing away, but he is flashing to the wrong side of the map, and Masu now.
Yeah, Contracts. Oh, no, dude, he's got to be gone. Quad unstoppable here. Just working together once again with his team, setting him up to knock him down. Now the mid lane inhibitor. That thing is trashed as the top lane tier 3 turret will fall right after. The inhibitor's going to go the same way. 30 seconds still on Contracts. It's 5v4 in the enemy base for FlyQuest, and they're looking to end this one only slightly slower than they ended the first game. Zeyzal shoots off that Maokai ulti, but now he's got to be careful. He's dealing with Bwipo. It's a 3v1 favoring Shopify, but a nice counter attack from Busio locks up all 3. Quad goes in for the shuffle, finds 2. But FlyQuest have overcommitted a little bit here. They've already lost Quad and Bwipo, both solo laners down, as Masu is trying to fight and kite Palafox. Fudge and B-Boy defending the Nexus for the time being. Masu! It's him! It's always been him! He outplays him again and he makes it happen. Finally gets shut down by Fudge. Shopify holds on. They will have another chance, but FlyQuest has them bleeding.
The 6th man, the Nexus Tower, really keeping Shopify's hopes alive as they just dove right past it. Bwipo went in so early on the Ambessa, gets burst down. Quad is super fed, but there's no zonies. You are not tanky, and he ends up getting taken down. You know, the tower added so much damage in that play, so Shopify still alive, will not lose the game just yet. And it is going to be Dragon trying to get taken here by a Contract, but he realized, all right, there's a TP coming in, I can't even do it.
That blast cone also is just so unfortunate for it doesn't ultimately make a difference, but just knocking him into the pit while the leash still hasn't reset, it just feels like you served it on a silver platter.
Thumbs up.
Yeah, so, here you go, dude, sure. Easy take there for Inspired.
Kind jungler, you know?
Yeah, just a kind boy. Shoutouts to Rush, wherever he is right now. I hope he's doing well. All right, FlyQuest with 3 Cloud Drakes, with the Otacon. They had the Baron. It's just about to run out here, I think. Shouldn't be a whole lot of time left on that buff, as they have total control over the Rift. There's still that inhibitor standing in the bottom lane, but the top and mid lane inhibitors have been destroyed. The super minion pressure alone is suffocating for Shopify Rebellion, and now the FlyQuest squad is once again grouped up and pushing together.
And Palafox's death cap at the very least, you know, he did get like over 1,000 gold in this last little exchange. He got a lot of shutdowns. But, as you say, the inhibitors are down except for bot lane, so the supers are going to be coming in, and they're still down 10k with no Nexus towers. It's going to be an incredibly hard defense.
Oh, nice shot coming out from Bwipo. They kill Palafox, and with his death goes all hopes for Shopify Rebellion holding this game any longer. Bwipo finds a double kill on the other remaining carry, and he's going to be able to vamp his way straight to the enemy Nexus. It's a 2-0 for FlyQuest, and it didn't look even remotely difficult. The champs are back in town.
Not even the fountain is safe from Bwipo.